Hi, I'm Terry, and I'm nuts about stamping. I'm back today with another Sundays with Sizzix project. It's this little Halloween Peekaboo frame card that I made using my Big Shot. Here are the products I used to make this card in case you want to make it at home. I used my Big Shot, I used my 2 standard cutting pads, and I used the Big's die that's called Peekaboo frames. I used several punches, my 1¼ inch circle, my 1-inch circle, my scallop border punch, and my 2 3/8 inch scallop circle punch. For cardstock, I used chocolate chip, very vanilla, more mustard, and old olive. I used my craft chocolate chip ink pad. If you have the chocolate chip craft spot at home, that would be great too. I used 3 Stampin' Write markers. I used chocolate chip, or you could use early espresso. I used more mustard and old olive. I used my Glimmer Brads, the neutrals. I used my ribbon cutting scissors, my 1/16 inch handheld punch. That's hard to say today. I used my early espresso 1/8 inch taffeta ribbon. I used some clear embossing powder, my 2-way glue pen, and my snail adhesive. And then for my stamp pads, or stamp sets, I used Thank You Kindly. I used Pennant Parade and Warmest of Wishes. And then because a couple of mine are clear mount, I used Clear Mount B and Clear Mount C, the blocks. And I think that's everything I used. I'll clear off my spot and I'll show you how to make the Peekaboo frame for the front of the card. Back in a moment. All right, I'm back and I'm going to show you how to use the Peekaboo frame to make the Peekaboo part of this card. This is a great project for using up some of your scrap cardstock. I have a piece of 2-inch squared scrap chocolate chip cardstock, and here's your sandwich. You've got the bottom standard cutting pad, your Peekaboo frame die, and then put your piece of chocolate chip cardstock on the frame that you want for the front of the card, then your top standard cutting pad, and then you're going to just run it through your Big Shot. Sounds like mine needs a good oiling, doesn't it? There we go. Move that out of the way. And then here is your Peekaboo frame. Now the next thing I did was I took the little thank you image from Pennant Parade. There it is right there. What I did was I used my markers. I colored the thank part in chocolate chip and the U in old olive. I stamped it down on some scrap, very vanilla cardstock, and then I punched it out using my 1-inch circle punch. And then what I did was, let me bring in my card here, I stamped in my craft chocolate chip ink the wreath image from Warmest of Wishes. I embossed it with clear embossing powder, and then before I punched it out using my 2 3/8 inch scallop circle, I colored it using my markers, and then I punched it out, and then I punched out from the center using my 1¼ inch circle punch. I punched out the center part of this stamped, embossed, and colored image. So I stamped it, embossed it, colored it, punched out the center. You could do that first and then punch out the entire stamped, embossed, and colored image, or you can punch it out first and then punch out the center piece. And then I turned it over, and what I did was, using my 2-way glue pen, I adhered my Peekaboo frame to the back of this, and then it works perfectly inside. And then I folded up the lid of the frame, and then using Stampin' Dimensionals, I added my thank you underneath. And then as a final touch for my Peekaboo frame, I used my 1/16 inch handheld punch, punched a hole, and then added a glimmer brad. So that just added a decorative touch so that when you send this card out in the mail or you give it to a friend, it's a thank you card or a card for Thanksgiving, he or she knows to open it up to see the image inside. Then to complete the card, what I did was my card base is more mustard, and then I have a piece of old olive. I used textured cardstock. I had an old piece of texture cardstock lying around. You could just use basic old olive. I have a layer of Very Vanilla that I stamped the Kind Thanks from the Thank You Kindly stamp set. I adhered that onto the old olive base, and then I added, using my scallop border punch, I did a trim of more mustard and added that, and then put a piece of the 1/8 inch chocolate, no, that's early espresso, 1/8 inch taffeta ribbon. I adhered that to the top. And then once I had the whole layer done, then I adhered it to the card front. And I'm not sure I mentioned or not, but I put Stampin' Dimensionals underneath the wreath part as well as the thank you part inside, just to pop it off the front of the card. Looks like this is a difficult card to make, but it's really not. It's very quick and easy. There's lots of little pieces, which makes it kind of fun to put together. For a complete listing of the supplies I used and the measurement for the cardstock layers, please visit my blog, www.nutzstamping.com. While on my blog, don't forget to subscribe to my customer newsletters. I have a special edition coming out called the 12 Weeks of Christmas, and their next one is coming out this Wednesday. You won't want to miss it. It's another wonderful 3D Christmas present idea. You can ask me a question through the Contact Me button, or you can place an order at my online store. I'm Terry. I am nuts about stamping. One more thing I want to mention is that Stampin' Up! Has extended the Big Shot promotion through November 11th. If you've ever considered joining Stampin' Up! And becoming a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, this is a great time to do so, because if you do by November 11th, you can choose either a free Big Shot to add to your starter kit, or you can add $100 in extra products. This is a great promotion, but it does end on November 11th. If you would like to become a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and join my team of demonstrators, I'd love to have you do that, whether you're local or long distance. I'm Terry. I'm nuts about stamping. See you next time. Bye for now.